everyone, welcome to my podcast. So, on today's episode, we will be talking about Rett syndrome. So, what is Rett syndrome? How is it identified? What causes it to occur? The prevalence, how it impacts the person's life, and connections to what teachers, parents, and the individual can do to increase positive outcomes for a happy and productive life. So before I get started, I just want to add that I personally do know a little girl with Rett syndrome. I've known her since before she was diagnosed, and she was diagnosed at around age 2, so I've been able to see how it impacts her life, her parents' life, but I've also been able to see the goods that do come out of Rett syndrome. Even though it sounds bad, there are some goods. So what is Rett syndrome is probably what you're wondering. Well, Rett syndrome is a genetic disorder affecting neurodevelopment. It affects multiple systems, including central and peripheral nervous systems, gastroenteric and musculoskeletal systems, and it has an unpredictable course in terms of speed, progression, and severity, with periods of regression and remission. So Rett syndrome does mainly affect females. There have been a few cases of Retts in males, but they have all been reported fatal or having severe neurodevelopmental disabilities and encephalopathy. Rett syndrome causes abnormalities in every part of the brain. The neuropathological features of Retts are decreased brain size, contracted neuronal cell bodies, impaired neuronal development, disrupted synapses in the axodendritic connections, increased packing density of the neurons, and lower dendritic aberrations. So how is it identified? Following seemingly normal development in the first 6 months of the child's life, they will eventually lose communication and hand skills from about age 15 to 30 months, commonly occupied by comorbidities including epilepsy, sleep disturbance, scoliosis, feeding and growth problems, and awake breathing abnormalities. Motor and language functions are progressively lost, and hand stereotypes such as washing their hands, clapping, are one of the more distinctive signs of Rett's. So what causes Rett syndrome to occur is mutations in the X-linked methyl CpG binding protein 2 gene is the main cause of Rett syndrome. The prevalence, it affects approximately every 1 in 10,000 females at birth. But because it is misdiagnosed or goes undiagnosed most of the time, it does make it very difficult to determine the exact number of total cases. So how it impacts a person's life, this is where I'm going to be adding some stuff about the little girl that I know. So the seizures, they do impact the child's life. They affect 60 to 80% of girls with Rett's, so no matter how severe or how often the seizures do occur, they can happen anywhere, anytime, which makes it very dangerous. The little girl that I know, she's severely impacted by Rett's. Her deletion is 2 over the typical Rett syndrome, which means she's missing 4 strands of her DNA, which I find it kind of weird because her mom told me that she did just find this out a few weeks ago, but never have we ever considered her severe. So most kids with Rett's need help doing pretty much anything you can think of, so eating, drinking, walking, sitting up, and so much more. As far as social skills, she is unable to talk, which is a huge impact on her life and many others with Rett's. Although she's unable to talk, she will respond to you using her eyes, which I read that many other kids with Rett syndrome do this. So say you ask them like a yes or no question, one way would be yes, the other way would be no. And she also uses an eye gaze that helps her communicate as well as many other kids with Rett's, which I also read about. During school, she attends self-contained classrooms because of her physical needs such as eating, going to the bathroom. She attends speech, physical, and occupational therapy outside of school as well as at school. So connections to what teachers, parents, and the individual can do to increase a positive and happy life. So children with Rett's, they can do many things that allow them to be happy and have a productive life. They just need a lot of assistance doing it. So again, the little girl that I know, her mom has her on a cheer team for kids with exceptional needs, which she absolutely loves, but she does have to have someone at her side at all times, holding on to her, moving her arms. During the summer, her mom signs her up for surfing lessons with assistance, so standing up on the board, riding the waves, everything. She'll have somebody holding on to her. She's done indoor skydiving a few times, which I think is absolutely crazy. She loves music, so she just loves dancing, going to concerts, anything you can think of with music. So her teachers, they do have a ginormous impact on her life because she does need help doing everything. They always have to be like by her side. They always have to like help her with everything, so she has grown very close to them. Thank you guys for listening to my podcast. I hope you learned something.